How are you doing wherever you're tuned in? This is the Situation Room getting into the second hour. Let's start with the day's proverb, C.T. Muga.
The king who shuts his eyes during famine in the land will soon see his ancestors.
The king who shuts his eyes during famine in the land will soon see his ancestors.
Yes.
And hereby shutting the eye, basically we're saying, ignoring the plight of his people as they're dying of hunger, not addressing the needs of the people as they're facing starvation, all those things.
Assuming that this particular monarch doesn't seem to understand the import of this problem and doesn't face it. On the one hand, simply put, that famine may arrive at his door as well.
Okay.
Yes.
I do not want to apply that proverb on our guests of today, but it could happen. The Kenya National Highways Authority, led by the chairman, Engineer Wangai Ndirango, and also Engineer Stanley Mawasi, who is in charge of the Expressway project, they're in the studio. Very good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the Situation Room.
And we thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
We have been seeking you out for a while, and we are very glad that we got to you yesterday and you graciously accepted to come and have this conversation with us today. The Expressway is a project that we have seen. I mean, it's the first one where we are seeing an elevated road in Kenya. And so it comes with very many wonders every new day when you're seeing those things happening up there. And then the things that are happening down here. So I just got to start with you, Engineer Wangai. This project, as it started and as it's continuing right now, what's the update of it? We have heard the last time we heard from the CS was about last month, and he said it's about over 60% complete. What does 60% complete mean, and what's the remaining 40%?
Thank you very much, Eric, and once again, thanks for having us in the studio. The Expressway was commissioned by the President in October 2019. And at that point, we anticipated that it would take about 3 years, up to June of 2022, to complete. But aware that we had very constrained space, that Kenya needed these roads to decongest the city, we worked with the contractors to see that we hasten the pace. And as of now, we anticipate that the project will be completed, open to traffic and tolling by June of next year. So we see that we actually are doing this in under 2 years. As of now, the cumulative progress stands about 57%. And what this means is that we have finished majority of the piling. There were 792 piles across the entire, stretch of 27 kilometers. And some of them are very deep, actually, going up to about 20 meters deep. So it's a lot of work, a lot of heavy machinery, and that has largely been achieved. About 2/3 of the concrete works that need to be done, again, has been completed. So I would say that whatever is remaining now is the lighter portion. It's more or less like a finishing work. So between now and December, we are likely to see, and actually almost sure, that all the dirty work, if I may use the word, will be done. And so all these, deep excavation, diversions, and everything else was more or less being managed by December this year. And then for the period between January and June, it's really now installing the infrastructure that will allow us now to operate, the road furniture, the marking, the tolling booths, and the like.
How long did it take to plan this project?
Actually, about 1 year prior to commencement. And in fact, let me say this. I think the Expressway, in a way, for me, expresses the desire and achievement of the next level of road building. And that's the most beautiful part of it. As you said, remember the Expressway has been planned since the year 2000. In about 2002, we nearly had a contractor, but for certain reasons with the donors, that didn't happen. So it's something we had anticipated. Why so? Because we knew for a long time that the area between Nyayo Stadium and Westlands, and particularly the museum, remained as a bottleneck in our transport system, because we are having big roads coming to very, from Langata Road, from Mombasa Road, from Lusaka Road, and then all of them joining to only 3 lanes. So that was a bottleneck. So we knew for a long time that this was needed. And so the planning was on a very fast pace. But what during as we also progress, we have learned a few things, and we have kept on improving our planning level. In fact, I would say this is one of the best planned projects. We are seeing a dashboard that really marks each and every element on a daily basis. So it's the top of the range, if I may say, in terms of the planning. Let me go back to what I'm saying, that this is our kind of next level. When President Kibaki initiated the Thika Road project, it was the first time we were seeing a superhighway. Now, this is, I would say, almost, that was version 2.0. This now is version 2.1 of road building, whereas, as you said in the beginning, we are seeing now the expressway. And I'm sure through this learning, through this experience, we are going to see a lot more solution. Already, we are already planning a viaduct across Nakuru town. We are already planning a viaduct.
What is a viaduct?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think Engineer Mawasi has taught me this term over and over. Now I've become, a viaduct simply means it's an elevated road. So we out of this experience, we're also planning an elevated road across Nakuru town, and also we're also trying to consider one also across Karatina town as we do the Keno Marwa. So you can see the importance of it is that it actually unlocks the next level of technology available to us.
Okay. I mean, it's clear that development is extremely important. It doesn't, I don't think anybody has an issue with that. I think that what we've been able to see over time is that clearly the development has been happening on this expressway, and it's a good thing in terms of what will happen to decongest the city in terms of traffic moving forward. The outcry has been the current uncomfortability, and that's just a mild word, of people who've had to use the same area where the construction is taking place. And so I think it's very important to hear also that you're looking at planning that took maybe a year before you broke ground, right? What was taken into consideration as alternative routes while construction is taking place in these areas?
Thank you. Whenever we are planning our roads, the issue of the socio-environmental circumstances is always and in fact we have an entire team that looks at that and says what are the likely impacts. Given, even in a construction project, will have its impact. And it's anticipated in our planning, in our laws. What we are trying to do is to mitigate that impact. We are worried about the safety, about the comfort. But let's start thinking about saying, why in the first place were we doing the expressway? Because Mombasa Road, over the years, had experienced congestion. So it was to relieve, and that means we were working in a very tight space. And so the first thing, as I said, is that we have deliberately and, tried to shorten the time that this is happening. And we've done that by about a half. So from 3 years, we are seeing that the major works will be completed in about 1.5 years. Number two, when you look at these expressway, we have tried to look at the safety of the users. And you find, actually, unlike any other road, you find that it's barricaded. We have provided shelter from the deep excavation all along, in most cases using iron sheets, so that at no instance really is anybody, even if you are tempted, you have no opportunity to get in there. However, we know there are a few instances where, people have you have a
driven into a ditch.
Unfortunate incident. Yeah. But let's also say that, look, driving is a factor of two. It's a factor of the structural issues, the engineering issues, but it's also a case of human behavior. We have tried to provide warning constantly. We have given notices as to where we are working currently. Like at the present, we know majority of our work is happening around Mlolongo and around between Nyayo Stadium and the Museum Hill. So that just need to tell the motorists that as you approach these areas, please be careful. We have a traffic engineers, actually a team that is constantly monitoring where they are constrained, how the service look like. So we are very conscious, long and short, about the convenience and the safety of the road users.
If I can just insist on that point, yes. I think looking at was there possibility for alternate routes? Or are we saying that as the construction is going on, we are still going to insist that traffic remains on the roads where construction is happening? Was there a plan for alternate routes? Is there? Because it could be our assumption sitting here that there is another road, another route that can then be temporarily constructed that people can use to avoid this, and for want of a better word, madness that is happening on the roads currently. Was there a plan for an alternate route, or was there no space and we're here assuming that there was?
Remember where this road is located. In fact, actually from Mulolongo all the way up to Nyayo Stadium, we almost don't have any, because on the southern side is the airport. On the eastern side, unless now you enter at Cabanas and use the bypass going towards the Thika Road, there are actually almost no choice but to use this highway. However, even having said that, we have just behind the studio, we have what you call the road C that allows people to actually divert from the General Motors and come out on Lusaka Road and join Jogo Road, and perhaps even use Enterprise Road outwards towards town. At Cabanas again, we have the new road, the ICD road, that allows people also to come out of the main Mombasa road and join the southern bypass. So yes, where it is possible to provide alternative routes, we have done. I think when you look also at Nyayo Stadium, we have the option of using the Upper Hill Road. We have the option of going back towards the City Stadium using Lusaka Road. And we have advised on these options. Beyond that, we have tried as much as possible to keep the lanes and even create some temporary diversions even along the main corridor. So I would say yes, the plan has been there and the plan continues. We're monitoring this, and every Friday, I can assure you, when Engineer Mawasi meet, we meet, the team that technically meets every Friday. And one of the reports that is discussed is the traffic situation and where the constraints are happening and how they can be relieved.
Engineer Stanley Mawasi, you're in charge of the project. You're basically the man who's the boss of the contract on the ground. And you're the one then who reports to the management of Kenha and the board on the progress of this. I want to go back to the planning stage, and that's what I was asking the chairman. And he said there was some intensive planning periods of 1 year of looking at this is what we need to do, creating the dashboard and seeing the milestones that need to be set in place and the progress. Looking at the road users, and I just want to think about this particular stretch of road, we've got motorists, we've got trucks that are transit trucks. We also have motorcycles, we have cyclists, we've got pedestrians, and we've got mkokoteni users. Were all those factored in how they were going to be catered for during construction of this project?
Thank you, Eric. I think the chairman has elaborated very well how the plan was. And indeed, at the stage where we started the project, and let me take you back a little, the thinking around Expressway is the thinking that has been there for over a decade. You do recall, in fact, there was a time when the World Bank had helped us to funding the project, and then the scheme didn't go through. We were going to have, at that time, the project Nairobi Toll Road project. And other initiatives in between have come through various development partners. But at the end of the day, what has finally transpired is now we have what is going on the ground. So to quickly focus, was there planning? Yes. When we started the project, we did various stakeholder meetings all the way from Mlolongo to Westlands, and we met various stakeholders from Boda to businessmen to other communities. So we involved all the stakeholders, mapped them, and we were aware of the challenges that will come, and we were aware that the congestion was going to be an issue, even without even with the roads that exist where they could disperse. But we went further ahead and looked at our program, because the numbers are huge, the numbers using the road, and in the first place, that's where the road was being upgraded. We made sure that at any one time, even where we are constructing, would maintain at least on the minimum 2 lanes especially for the section between JKIA to Mlolongo. And you know, the beauty with that section, you also have 2 other service lanes on either side. So in fact, you have at any one time about 6 lanes that are available. But what has transpired is that the challenge of managing this traffic, because in the evening, inevitably for any construction, you will find that the speeds are reduced, and you will see all along the road we've pressed, please, maximum speed allowable is 40 kilometers per hour. And of course, there are those who are a little bit in a hurry, maybe they are under pressure, and we start seeing some motorists trying to jump the queues, and a little bit of misbehavior, which is sometimes because of the pressure people are experiencing. Sometimes it does happen. Now, because of this, you find that gridlock is created. So what did we think about how to deal with this gridlock? We are in constant touch with the police, and we really thank them for having helped us all this time. They've done a sterling job in trying to help us to make sure at least the traffic is moving. Once in a while, there are issues. For example, last Friday, there was hue and cry, but around 9 o'clock, I contacted them, and they informed me that actually it was because there was an accident that occurred at Mlolongo, and this is what, again, had caused an extraordinary event leading to what people were seeing. So, yes, there's a plan. Yes, we are doing our best. Yes, we don't sleep. We are working 24/7, monitoring the road, and we really thank all the stakeholders, particularly the police. They've really, really helped us to bring sanity to what we are doing. And I can assure you, for the section between Mlolongo all the way to JKIA, in the next about 2 weeks, all the works that have been causing the extra strain. Remember, Mlolongo, JKIA has always had issues. In fact, people have been waking up at 5 in the morning to be able. Oh yes. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
They've been leaving
to be able
home.
Yes,
Leaving
yes.
home.
Thank you. So what we are trying to say is that in the next about 2 weeks, the situation will go back to normal. And once the expressway is completed, all these issues will be gone, because those who wish to pay, they'll be able to run through the express lanes, and about 30% of the existing traffic will be, from our data survey, will be absorbed by the expressway, and it will be the entire A8 road will be unclogged. So we are confident that we are on spot and we'll be able to solve the situation.
You know, as someone whose duties at a certain point in their lives took them on the road for long periods of time, I have seen the wonderful work that Ken has done. The very things that we are saying, a road is being built, an alternate passageway is provided for, and it's motorable. It's not something that gives you nightmares. We are not holding Kenha accountable to standards that we haven't seen them meet before. No. We are holding you accountable for standards we've seen you meet before. So when you fall short, we are asking, why are you falling short? Some of us use this road every single day. And we use it at an hour when there's hardly any traffic. Because if you're on this road at 4:45, 4:30, there's hardly any traffic. And the diversions exist, but the state of the road you fear for your car. And so one asks, surely, if there are people inspecting this road, they ought to know that constant use will bring about disrepair. So simply even it up so that when people are motoring on it, there's an ease to it. When it rains, you actually have literal craters. Your car dips in and then it comes up again. Now, when I have a bill that I don't normally experience when it comes to servicing my car, should I send the bill to you?
Right. Let me start by appreciating. Thanks for the compliments of the good work of the past. And I want to assure you
Even the present.
And thank you very much.
Yes.
And I want to assure you that I think it's that same standard that Kenha is committed to. And I think let me take that as a way of feedback. And I am aware, of course, we don't want to bury our heads to the side, that there are certain instances. I mean, I personally have had a chance to, out of these kind of concerns, be on site really, just to complement the effort of my technical team. And I know there are areas you pointed out, and let me say this, they're being addressed. And I think that concern that you raise about the quality of the surface in the diversion is something that you're going to take, and I think you'll see a difference.
But then there's the little bit again of communicating it. You know, this discussion we're having here is very informative. This is not the fault of Kenya. It is a government failing, not weakness, failing. You wait until there's a complaint for you to address it instead of simply explaining. The airwaves are open. You know, this discussion we're having, it is not difficult for people who work within Kenya to say, look, folks, we know there is a gridlock at Mlolongo. Okay, I am Engineer Mawasi, I'm in charge of this particular project. And I'm coming on ready to explain to you that this is what is happening. Kenya is doing something about it. It's reassuring. People hear, oh, so they know something is happening.
Right.
And I think it's interesting, Angela, you've just said now that, I think it was you who said that, every Friday there's a briefing. There's a briefing to me, I'm shocked. There's a briefing every Friday and you're aware of the traffic situation. I think, it's kind of like, I liken it to a baby that's getting inoculated. It has to happen. The inoculation must happen. But the caregiver at that point is constantly pampering that child and saying, I'm sorry, we have to do this. But it makes the child feel better at that moment, giving them something to pacify them, even if they have to go through this difficult position. And that's the thing. People who are using these roads understand that this thing must happen. But at the same time, they're looking for some kind of ease. So what it appears as though is that you are aware of the situation and you're keeping it in your pocket and you're not telling people, look, guys, we're aware, we feel your pain, we're trying the best. Even if it doesn't solve the situation, it does something to the minds of people who have to traverse this every day.
I think, again, that's taken. Perhaps maybe we will be very immersed in doing the actual work, keeping the targets, trying to beat actually even ensuring the deadlines. That we thought that perhaps it's all clear with the papers. But I think let's take that away of feedback again. And I think we thank you for opening the studio, both here and I think in the other media houses. A promise that I think that media briefing on Fridays, I think we are going to make it more available so that people actually anticipate what's coming in the week that is following. And even more, let them know on a weekly basis what is that we are doing to relieve the situation.
I want to take issue here and I want to push you farther to the corner because you're already there.
Yes.
Just to express my own personal frustration. And the frustration here, and that's why I keep asking, was there planning? If indeed there was planning, and every time we talk about it here, I say engineering is a discipline of solutions and efficiency. So when you're planning for such a project, then you've clearly thought this is the amount of traffic that we're dealing with here on a daily basis. You've already done the studies and you know X number of trucks, X number of small vehicles, X number of motorists, of pedestrians who are crossing in various stages, of mukokotenis that are on the road. And when we begin the project, as we get to certain stages, we will need then to be talking about diverting, and this diversion will not be sufficient to cater for that traffic. We'll also need to communicate further and say, so if we say we are closing the section between Kenyatta Avenue and University Way and we're creating one lane, is that going to be enough to handle that traffic that moves there? Or what else are we going to advise motorists to use? And shall we have marshals on the ground who are also guiding motorists? Not everybody will remember seeing some social media posts that was shared on WhatsApp saying that Kenya has said they're going to close the road. So are there people on the ground? And that's what I keep saying. My frustration is that we don't see all those things happening. And then I ask myself, so if we have people who are in charge of this particular project and they designed it, why aren't they implementing their own designs? I'm sure, Engineer Mawasi, all these things I'm talking about, if you showed me your papers, they're all clearly...
They've been considered. And
all
yes.
are there.
Let me, Eric, again come back to that issue of planning. And thank you very much for the comments that you've made. Actually, they are valid. And do we have marshals? Yes, we have marshals. Are we being assisted by police? Absolutely. Are we doing our best in terms of traffic signing and information? Yes, our Twitter handle is we issue messages when there are diversions to be done, and also in the newspapers, we actually print media also. But then why are we in a situation where it seems like as you've repeatedly pointed out, it's like there was no planning. Now, let me just a little bit put this project in perspective so that you can appreciate the mechanics and the different elements that are playing around. In the same corridor, when we planned, we had the power relocations. We had ICT line relocations. We had water lines relocations and sewer line relocations. And by the way, all these, whatever was there before, has now been redesigned and upgraded to be able to take capacity up to 30 years to come. This is the plan. That is why you are seeing, when you look at the pipes that have been removed and what is being installed, no comparison. I'm quite sure this is visible. Now, we have about now 4 contractors who are doing this work, and they are doing it independent, directed by their respective authorities. And they're working in the same corridor. Now we also have the main contractor now coming and is working in the same corridor. Now the plan was very simple, and we actually tested it, modeled it, and it was supposed to work perfectly. You know, when you do planning, everything looks perfect. So everything was supposed to work seamlessly. Power lines out, sewer out, then the road out, then here you'll have space for pedestrians, and they'll be walking and enjoying themselves, and there should be no problem. But then what happens in reality? I hear they say on the ground vitu ni different. Now we come to the ground now. We come to the ground, number one, you have maybe some delays in the power contractor, not necessarily sometimes because of their own making, but sometimes because maybe there is a little bit delay in land acquisition, or there are some issues that have cropped up. This is another dimension that I've not brought in. Or we have some a bit of challenges, maybe cash flow is not flowing the way it is. All these dynamics, and we want, and by the way, the road original was supposed to be done in 3 years. And then we crashed the program to 2 years. Finally, we crashed to, 15 months. Now you see all these dynamics and the moving parts that are playing. So really, we are really trying our level best under the current circumstances, and trust me, it would have been much better, but the pain, as you correctly stated, let's bear it for a short while. We have collapsed the period of pain from 3 years, now it is 15 months. We are doing everything on the ground to make sure there is sanity, and in the circumstances, I think we are doing fairly well. Of course, we wish it would have been better, but we are doing fairly well from our briefings and our observations, and we trust that this situation will bring it to control by end of the year. As the chairman has indicated, all major works will have been completed, and we'll kind of forget that it was so painful.
Engineer Mawasi.
Are you on Mombasa Road? How is it? You can call in and let us know, and let the engineers know, because we'll be opening up the phone lines after this. 0719-012-600, having a conversation with the chairman of the Kenya National Highways Authority, Engineer Wangai Ndirango, and the engineer in charge of the Expressway project, Engineer Stanley Mawasi. What is happening on the road? We're seeking the updates, getting to understand the thinking behind this project, the implementation of the project, the challenges that they are facing, and now we want you to give them your challenges as well. And let's then work together and seeing how can we get, at the end of the day, I just do not want to see children on the road, on this road at 8 p.m. Bottom line, all right? So how can we work together on this? As we talk about all this, Ndu, let's also remind ourselves our own responsibility as road users.
Absolutely. Trying to fika salama every single day. Usalama Barani, a message brought to us by NTSA and the European Union. So, drivers, everybody, be aware of your surroundings. Always watch out for other road users. Extremely important, including border riders, cyclists, pedestrians and school-going children. All of them depend on you as a safe driver for their safety. It doesn't hurt to share the road. It doesn't hurt to stay for a split second. And remember, always wear your seatbelts, use your signals correctly, look around before making any turn. And remember, speed that thrills is speed that kills. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama.
Okay, so as we do that, let's also give feedback to the Kenha engineers who are in the studio with us. 0719-012-600. That's 0719-012-600. Are you on Mombasa Road? Have you been stuck on this road? Have you seen some good things happening on the road? Just call in. Positive or negative feedback. It's all feedback, and it's important that they go back to the office with it so that we can also improve how the road is being used. I want to go back to the point I was asking about Mkokoteni users, because I no longer see them, especially at the railway bridge heading towards South B. Where are they? How are they getting to there? Where's South B or the other parts that they were taking them now? Engineer Mwasi.
Yeah, you're right. When now you drive along the road from Haile Selassie all the way to Bunyara roundabout. Before we would see Mkokotenis there, plenty of them. But I guess maybe they've been edged out because once in a while I still see them. So there could be a shift in transportation. Maybe some the mamambogas, because largely I used to see those are the ones who would prefer using them from the Ukulima market.
Yep.
And they deliver to South B and maybe parts of South C, but largely South B. But now you don't see them, but still once in a while you see them. Yes, the road is narrow, it's tight. It's very frustrating for them at the moment when they try to use it. But I trust that once we are done with the project, everyone will be happy, and we should get back to the normal situation.
Do you realize we are talking about people who maybe have gone out of business, have gone out of earning a livelihood?
But those people,
what was the plan?
Eric, they're not extinct. If you recall, they probably changed the routes that they use because...
That's what I'm asking. So what was the plan?
Yes.
The other way to get to South B through, what's it called, Industrial Road?
Lusaka Road, or is it?
You have to use a footbridge to cross over railways. So it's either using a longer route and all.
Perhaps,
go ahead.
Sorry, Eric, I think it's also important for us to also look at the two sides of the coin. One, of course, is that, we're always very careful to sustain people's livelihoods. But again, let's also ask ourselves, what kind of future and city do we want to build? We're just talking about right now that the obstacles that we place on the road also creates an uncomfortable situation for people. I appreciate for now that this is an important way of getting our merchandise from the centers to the various other points where it's needed. But think also about, and as we go ahead, we also need to have this conversation, because being strategic, and that's really our role as a board. What does it mean to us to have slow-moving, vehicles, if I may call so, whether hand-driven or something?
Yep.
You're having we are doing a road so that people can maintain good speed, 60 kilometers. Then all of a sudden you get this a vehicle, or even whatever kind of it is, whether manual or driven or motorized, that's doing at 5 kilometers per hour. We are also putting, the same kind of scenario we see cattle on the road. We know there are pressures coming from elsewhere in terms of drought. So, and I think in terms of the highway safety, in terms of also saying that, yes, there's engineering solutions, but there's also things that emanate from human behavior. Good roads, that road signs, all these markings are meant to moderate and guide human behavior. What is that we want to do in the future is that we will, as we part of the second phase of development of the Mombasa Expressway, or Mombasa Road, let me say, is to provide for lanes for non-motorized traffic. So that if you want to cycle, if you want to walk, if you want to use those other forms of transport, then there is that available to us. And that actually is something on the government agenda.
Yeah.
We are currently designing the BRT together with non-motorized solutions. So it's something on the card.
Engineer, let's now hear from the callers on the line. Let's start with Diana in Kitengela. Good morning, Diana.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right. Now, I'm usually a listener. I fly the route from Kitengela all the way to Cabanas. My issue is that they say the signage, the deviation which is wrong. We wake up in the morning and you find they have dug a hole, no warning, no nothing.
Yep.
I came one day all the way from the airport back home, and you find those big yellow stones on the road, and I was about to hit it. So today you're taking easy on these people, but the truth is there is no proper signage. They need to warn people in advance that there is a deviation.
Very true, Diana. Thank you very much. They'll respond to that shortly. Michael in Mlolongo, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well.
I want to compliment the engineer for the good job they are doing. So far, the progress is okay. But we have an issue. I think there was an issue that was raised, I think on Citizen TV. There was there's a school in Syokimau that after the digging and everything, they passed the sewer line. And the owner of the school was complaining. The school has been closed for the last 2 months. The school is flooded with sewer waste. What is the engineer doing? Is he aware of that situation?
That's in Mlolongo.
In Syokimau, actually.
Syokimau.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please, can you address that?
Engineer Mawasi will respond to that. Maina in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm also a frequent. I am very, very well, sir. Today I've tried to beat the traffic and I'm out of the mess.
Okay.
But I'm a daily frequent user of that road from Syokimau all the way into the CBD. I can agree with Diana, the previous caller, and say sometimes I think the contractor is a bit mischievous. During the day when the police are on site, they tend to observe some order, the police are helping the motorists, but then as the night comes in, they start doing strange things so that by 8 o'clock, the lanes have narrowed down, they have dug up stuff, they have put blockades on the road, and without warning whatsoever. So if you're waking up the following morning, you find a very strange road from the one you used the previous day. On top of it, I am very sure there's something they can do about the billowing dust. I mean, the motorists who are using this road, by the time they reach CBD, you would think they have traversed the Kalahari. It's crazy. You must have AC, and I fear for the school buses, the pedestrians, the border guys. I mean, you don't have AC. By the time you're getting to a destination, you look like you've been digging a grave. Surely they can wet the road on top of the diversions and whatnot. They can wet the road a bit so that the dust is not too much. I mean, the visibility is not more than 20 meters in some sections, and the vehicles are moving in high speed. You're trying to avoid borders, you're avoiding pedestrians, you're avoiding other cars. It's just madness.
Thank you, Maina. John in Elbagon, good morning.
Good morning. Actually, I'm in Nairobi.
Very good.
John, welcome to Nairobi.
He's been here for a while. He's a traveler.
Yes.
He's a Kenha user.
A very good Kenha user. But mine is not Mombasa Road, but it's the Timor. I don't know if that's part of Kenha. There's also construction on Timor. Langata Timor. Huh?
Yep.
They have narrowed the road, and they know they are doing a good job. But my concern is there's a road that has been under construction between Kibera and Yaya for a very long time. I don't know if you know that road, Eric.
Yeah, it's the Langata Ngong Road, Link Road, yes.
Yes, and it's a very small section which has been undone for 2 or 3 years. And I was imagining they could have finished with that one of Kibera so that we divert that to avoid coming to Mbagathi before they started Mbagathi. I don't know if the engineers are aware about that. Thank you.
They will respond to that. Jeroge in Eldoret, good morning.
Good morning too.
Speak to the engineers. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for this chance. Good morning, studio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm commending the engineer on the good work he's doing. Yeah. I'm asking about. I'll kindly ask about the project staff on Kenya. There's some project staff who have done some commendable job and through years. And I'd like to ask the chairman if there's permanent jobs on the project staff.
Okay.
Yeah, or there's some opportunities to come.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jeroge. So many issues arising here, engineers, and it's all about what we're talking about, the management of the project as it's going on. Is there adequate signage? Is there adequate warning? Is there adequate caution to the motorists, the road users, on what is happening on the road on any given day. We've actually seen mornings here where we see photos of vehicles that have driven into a ditch. Not at Nyayo Stadium, at General Motors, at Mlolongo. So issue of signage and that not being in existence. How do you respond to that, Chairman?
Thank you. I think as we've had a discussion, and really, I want to sympathize very much with Diana and Peter, Michael. I really feel your frustration. I think we've tried in part to explain part of what we had in plan and what we are doing. But I think it's also very important that for us as Kenya, and indeed the whole government, that we are listening, because we exist to serve our citizens, our people. And we are using taxpayers' money to make life more bearable. So I want to take these as a way of feedback. Out of this meeting and out of this interview in the studio, I think we'll go back to, to review our plan. Let me say some things that certainly and pretty and straight that the cover in terms of traffic management, the marshals, and the duty of the contractor extends both day and night. And so if then, as we have heard from Peter, I think that sometimes there's some bit of mischief, and at night there is a bit of neglect. Perhaps it may be because of curfew. People assume that after the curfew hours, then, there is not much traffic, but then we'll review that and see what's happening. Secondly, dust control is a mandatory requirement in our project. So again, we will want to see. I think I've had, and this is the second time I'm hearing that from the Mlolongo side. So again, we'll be sure we are going to look at it. And
why not just put some tar on this road? Why must it be dust? Yeah, okay, it's a diversion. It's going to be there for a while. But how much would it cost if you just put some bit of lamy on it?
Let me ask Engineer Moas to respond to that.
Thank you very much. Indeed, the most ideal would be to put tarmac, and in some sections, actually, it has been done. But in many of the sections that where we are having a lot of dust, they use water to spray so that they control dust. Like just outside Capital Center, like in the morning when I was coming, there was a bit of dust. But I'm sure later on you'll find there's a truck that has added water. So it is a continuous process to try and mitigate. But of course, it's more efficient if you use tarmac, as indicated here by Eric. And I think we will take that as part of our feedback so that we can improve the situation.
But doesn't it come with a cost element?
It comes with a cost element, but these are some of the risks that should be borne by the contractor. So at least it is something that we can follow up and make sure that it is done in good time.
Why I'm asking this question is because, again, I have seen roads where the watering takes place to the point where you think they're actually going to create a mudslide, meaning it's constantly watered. So why aren't these ones? Because the reason why we're asking for the tarmac is because they are not constantly and regularly and consistently watered. Yes.
I think Charles says this. That an engineer has said very well that we'll weigh. For example, if you look at the area just outside KBC, you see that actually we have even done concrete because we expect the diversion to be there for probably a month, 2 months, 3 months. So the duration the diversion exists is much longer. There are instances where you're only diverting for a week or 2 weeks. In fact, the time that it will take to do the paved service, tarmac or concrete is shorter than you require the diversion. So you say for this one we can manage with just watering and dust control. So take it from us that is something we are taking into account. Let me speak, if you may, about the issue of the T-Mall. Yes, we are trying. We know that price has been a bit of a constraint constantly. And I know we are doing, we are trying to make it easy for vehicles coming from town to increase the throughput from Nyayo Stadium through towards Langata Road. So that work is going. We are trying to also hasten up. To an extent, then we're actually doing steel work so that we prefabricate everything offsite and just come and install it very quickly. So why these and the Langata Gong Road Link Road? That's under Kura. There is our sister agency. We'll communicate that there is a concern about the speed and ask them to, and we work with them, of course, to see how we can do this together. About the project staff, Kenya is a government entity. We have and established we have to We know we have an establishment of about 740 staff. There's only so much we can take. The current is
640?
740.
Catering for the entire country?
Entire country. So you can see how much work we're doing. So that means then constantly...
I was actually going to suggest that there are too many.
Can we look at I guess the question is, is there a plan that the contractor who's working here is also able to then absorb the staff if they've been trained on how to create, what did you call it, a viaduct, right? Then these same people can move to Nakuru, or is there such a plan?
Yes, you see, these people who, for us at Kenha, we want to give a chance for younger people to, build their experience. And that's what the caller has said, that he has been on this, he has done a good job. And believe me, once he has 2-3 years of experience, finish the project, the other project's coming up. So he will have a chance to apply to other agencies. If a chance opens up in Kenha, why not? They'll be considered. For this particular contractor, he has 5,000 workers working right now. We don't know how the next project that comes. How many people will it have? Maybe it will require 500. So we can't say that automatically translate from one to the other.
All right, so just really quickly, this school that he was talking about, I don't know if you have the details of such, but it's the Lone Way Access Road, that there was some construction done on that particular road, and the sewers burst. Now, those sewers have seeped into this school, right? Yes. So this, polluted water has seeped into this, it's called the Little Bees Kindergarten and Primary, just so you know. Yes. So they've had to close for 2 weeks. And so children are not in school, have not been in school. They won't be in school even after the midterm is over. So that's an issue as a direct result of what's been happening with the construction.
Thank you, Ndu, for that. Indeed, as Michael has indicated, that incident actually took place. But immediately took place because, as I had indicated earlier, there's a lot that is happening within the same space.
Right.
We have all these utilities being relocated at the same time construction is going on. So sometimes some incidents like that do happen. We try very much to make sure they don't happen. And we have measures when they happen, what should be taken. We have a plan actually to mitigate that. So immediately that incident happened, the relevant agency was informed, and they came quickly, and they have actually repaired. In fact, the day it appeared on I think it was on Citizen, the repairs had already been done. The same day it was appearing on the TV, people on the ground, and the repairs were sorted out. So if you go there now, or if Michael goes there back now, he will find that it is back to normal. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Engineers, we want to thank you very much for coming. And I think the feedback that you're getting from our callers is about better communication about what's happening, better empathy with the road users and everybody who's being affected, and then also responding quickly to all the concerns being raised. So how soon can we expect, to have a change and to have an impact of today's conversation?
Or how often can we see
And the communication department that you have, you see, communicating about the road network and the projects that you have is also part of educating the public about what you do and about all these details, so that people know when they see Mabatis coming up, they know exactly what's happening.
Yes, indeed. Asante sana for coming.
Thank you.
Final word, Chairman.
Yeah, let me thank you really for giving us this opportunity to speak to the road users on this Nairobi Expressway and across the country. And we want to say that one of the things that we're looking for out of this place is that whatever that we have, and starting from this Friday, to ask about when should we start seeing a difference, we are going to pass out as much information to the public on what is happening and where to anticipate a certain constraint, and also offer them alternatives. So we thank you very much.
Asante sana. Engineer Wangai Ndirango is the chairman of the Kenya National Highways Authority, while Engineer Stanley Mowasi is the engineer in charge of the Nairobi Expressway project. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us, and we hope to have you again soon, especially if there's any issue that comes up and our callers are telling us this needs to be addressed. We can reach you even on the phone, and you can respond to people directly.
Absolutely.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.